Oh, okay, perfect. So your 20s was also just a blurred bunch of drunken, twisted nights, a black hole of your dreams seemingly dying, family manifestations of trauma coming up, relationships as real as this student loan forgiveness act, sprinkled with a little hoe phase every other week, too. Cool. Welcome back to my channel, everybody. It is great to have you guys. How's everybody doing? What are y'all up to? I feel like I never asked you guys, what's going on. Hope you're feeling good. Hope you're feeling refreshed. Hope you're feeling like yourself, If you're new here, my name is JaCoby, and welcome to the journal vlog. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, all that stuff that I'm supposed to say. Where do I begin? So last week was my birthday. Yes, we are still here, breathing, grateful, thankful. For the past couple of years, I've kept my birthday pretty mellow, pretty chill. Throwing or trying to orchestrate like birthday dinners, group getaways. I don't think those days may be over for me. I think it's so stressful. Stuff like that can overwhelm me. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. So this year, like the last couple of years, I decided to book me like a little very affordable Airbnb in the desert hot springs. It was chill, it was beautiful, it was quaint, it was just what I needed to get away, to relax. The stars at night were beautiful. I had wanted to do this birthday vlog thing and I was like, yeah, no, forget that. I'm gonna enjoy every penny of this. And so that's what I did. The room was really clean. It had this cute little kitchen. The bathroom was really nice. The ambiance was great. The peace and quiet was great. It was just chill. It was exactly what I needed to do what I like to do every year for my birthday, and that is to reflect. You know what I'm saying? This past birthday, I just turned 34. Growth and change and mindset views and all this and all the things. Growth can happen in 10 minutes. Growth can take 10 years. It really just depends on you. Some of these things are things that I implemented, and some of these things are things that I wished I implemented in my 20s. One thing I like about social media is that if nothing else, it will bring to your plate that there are other individuals who are just like you and who go through what you go through, or if not the same thing, pretty similar. And to be able to find these people, whether or not on a personal or a social level, and to relate to them is, I think, the most beautiful thing about social media. It's a beautiful thing. I remember finding some videos back in the day where people would talk about things that kind of helped them grow and kind of helped them climb that ladder of life. I was so gracious for them to share those things because I was able to be like, okay, it makes sense. I'm not alone. Oh, okay, perfect. So your 20s was also just a blurred bunch of drunken, twisted nights, a black hole of your dreams seemingly dying, family manifestations of trauma coming up, relationships as real as this student loan forgiveness act, sprinkled with a little hoe phase every other week, too. Cool. And so with those videos, I feel like it just brings us together, and I'm all about togetherness. I'm all about thought. I'm all about growth. I'm all about mindfulness. That's what the basis of my channel will and hopefully forever will be about. With that being said, if you're feeling lost in your 20s, hell, in your 30s, or even in your 40s, whatever the case may be, if you're feeling lost, this is probably aiming towards people younger than me because I haven't been to the other side just yet. Still looking to see those days. So grab a pen or a phone recorder or just save the video. I forgot we in 2022. Who takes notes? If you're feeling lost in your 20s, stay tuned. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. I feel like I've heard that my entire life, and it's so true. I feel like in your 20s, you're gonna meet a lot of people. A lot of people are gonna come in and out of your life, especially if you go to college, especially if you start working right away. Be wise about who you connect with on certain levels. Basically, that saying is there to say that you are in some way or the other the culmination and the combination of the top 5 people that you spend the most of your time with. right? It just makes sense. Birds of a feather flock together, seemingly for the most part. Your friends have so much influence on you. The people who you choose to let in, the people that you choose to walk life with in your 20s will really affect a lot of the places and the things that you experience and where you will go in your life. Choose wisely. That's one thing that my mother instilled in us, but she never really worried about us when it came to picking friends. And if there was ever anybody where she was like, I listen. Oh yeah, I listen. Or at least like I would pay attention. And chances are 9 out of 11 times she would be correct. Be very wise, you know, be open with ourselves, but be wise with the company that you keep. If you want a good indication of where you're heading, not to be cliche, take a look around at the people who you spend the most of your time with and let that be a reflection. I'm not saying start lashing out at your friend. I'm just saying you take a pause, take a moment and look around. Do you have people around you that are nourishing you and that are walking the same path that you're walking, that are wanting to go where you are trying to go? Or do you have people that are not doing what you want to do, that are doing the opposite of what you want to do? And the reason why I am not labeling specific things is because, look, this is your life, and the happiness that you are entitled to in your life has to come from you. So only you know what is going to be the fulfillment of that. So I'm not gonna list stereotypical bad or because that's all relative, all right? Yin and yang. For me, I've always been really good at picking people and friends. I think I have a pretty good judge of character, even though there may be flaws there. We all got them. What I wasn't good at was being in relationships and friendships where the feeding was mutual. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really have friends that could really feed me on a multiple of levels. I had few. I wish I had more of those types of friends. The feeding of emotional and all that stuff was a little bit more balanced. I do wish that I had that more in my 20s, because that is a very crucial part of a friendship, especially if you're somebody who is, you know, trying to intentionally set a path somewhere or to be somebody. Bottom line is you can play with toxic people and individuals, or you can live your life to the fullest of its mastery. But baby, you can't do both. Question everything. A lot of the times I feel like society and the world will kind of negate you from questioning things, like why are systems in place? Question your parents in a respectable way. Question your teachers, question your peers, question the authority. Always ask questions, because that's how you learn. The more you know, the more you know. And you can't know unless you ask or unless you seek. Hey bro, do you use a washcloth when you take a shower? No. Oh, just your hands? Okay, but if you had to guess, how many hands could a woodchuck catch if a woodchuck could catch hands? Okay, but then tell me, why do all the major religions way back in the day have the same 3 things in common? The virgin birth, death by crucifixion, and resurrection 3 days later. Why do you let your dog kiss you in the mouth? So what's your relationship like with your mom and dad? I just don't understand how I keep attracting people that just keep using and abusing me, and then just, you know, they don't want to leave. Can you order my Uber? I gotta go. Huh? Oh, just take my car, babe. Yeah, it's okay. I'll walk to work. It's just 12 miles. It's cool. Like, what am I doing? Is it me? Is it me? No. Why does the mac and cheese look like that? Why? Okay, now hold on now, I gotta ask. Do you really love black men? Do you really understand what it's like to be with one, to walk that line, to walk that social pressure, economically, the stigma? Or do you want mixed babies and possibly some good dick? I feel like we don't question enough of things. Question the people in your lives, question yourself, question why do you do the things that you do? Why do you have the relationships that you have? There's nothing wrong with asking questions. And when people get annoyed with you asking questions, question that. Knowledge is always going to be beneficial. Knowledge is always power. I don't care what anybody says. Start prioritizing yourself. Whoa, I know. You're about to be some selfishly egotistical tyrant main character. I'm not talking about that portion of yourself. I'm not talking about, your perceived thoughts of who you are, the relationships that you think define who you are, this idea of who you think you need to be. I'm talking about you, your true self, the one that's opposite of the ego, that particular person. Start listening to who that is. Start fine-tuning. Really start paying attention to what feels good, to what you like, to what doesn't feel good, to what doesn't really serve you. Take care of your body. As for me personally, I've always kind of yo-yo with my weight up and down. I started off this life very petite, really small. I was in boys and then husky. Husky came around real quick, and even still I struggle with that today. Start eating better, start going to bed regularly. If you start to build the habits now in your 20s, it'll be easier to kind of keep up. Once you tap into you, they can't tell you nothing. They can't tell you nothing about you. Take it out of the egotistical context. I'm talking about you. Get in the habit of figuring out what you need to do. If you need to sleep more, if you need to eat less, if you need to move your body more, if you need to cut out certain individuals, if you need to go seek out certain individuals. Get into the habit of really leaning in to figure out the best way that you can serve and take care of yourself so that you can be all of these things for others. I feel learning the difference between being productive and being busy in every sense of life is also a necessity. I feel like in my 20s, I equated being busy and moving around with productivity. Productivity is what I thought was my worth. The more I produce, the more I give of myself is my value. I was just busy with very, very little productivity for a lot of seasons. I mean, winters. Once I got off of the hamster wheel, when I became self-aware, I'm more productive than busy these days. When somebody wrongs you, learn to forgive them quickly. It heals you. Focus on what it does for you. If you need to forgive yourself for something, forgive yourself. There's so much evidence of people who go through so many different things in this life that are still thriving. Use that for your advantage. All of the things that are kicking your right now can be for your good if you allow it to be. Things are gonna happen to you that's not gonna be fair. Things are gonna happen to you that are out of your control. But I believe everything that we go through in life can, and I feel like is ultimately meant for our good. If you can take those negative situations and somehow, if you can take those situations that were meant to pretty much bury you and blossom from those things, even if it's a situation that's just, it was something crazy, right? If you can't at least take the good from it, if there's any, use the good for your good, or if you really can't find the goodness in the situation, let it go. Much easier said than done. Start that shadow work as early as you possibly can. Whatever you want to call it. I don't start doing that work now, yesterday, last week. Don't wait until you're 50. Start doing it now. Watch everything just kind of shift once you start doing that foundational work. Yes, trust the process, because whatever process you pick is going to process itself. Like if you choose the life path of an investment banker, trust the process of what that's going to look like. If you choose the life of a heroin addict, trust the process of what that's going to look like if you choose it. If you choose the life of a musician or a writer, trust the process of what that looks like. I don't say any of that to be insensitive. I mean, choose wisely and then trust that process. Learn to see the good in everything. I know that it's annoying and I know it's hella daunting at first. I know it is, because it's like sometimes you want to go off, sometimes you want to pop off, sometimes you want to do things to match energy. But remember that everything is a constant flow of energy, and if you give bad energy to that bad energy, that means that you gotta somewhere find that energy, which means that you gotta allow the energy to manifest in you to give it. You know what I'm saying? And you don't want to do that. Because when you throw it out, I promise you a little bit is going to stay and it may grow. Find the good in everything. And if you can't, let it go and let it be what it is. Now hear me and hear me clear. I'm no financial advisor, okay? Far from it. Never wanted to be, never pretended to be. But try to be a good steward of your coin, of your money. And this next part will only apply to those who need to worry about money. If you are somebody who don't have to worry about money, go and skip to the next chapter, because this isn't for you. I'm talking to the broke people like myself. Try to learn as much about finances as you possibly can, about credit cards, taxes. Try to pay attention to that. Don't go too deep down rabbit holes, but just try to learn the basic. Don't just save your money. Either spend your money purposefully or invest it in something. Invest it in ways to make more money in yourself and things that you need to do or want to do that's going to project you into, you know, where you want to be. Unfortunately, we live in a society, in a world where money is important. The lack of money can mean certain things. The amount of money that you have can mean a total difference to your reality. So I'm not saying go chasing money, fall in love with money. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying learn how to use it as a tool. You know, because not being wise with your money can actually lead to broke-pression. Y'all know what broke-pression is? Broke-pression. Broke-pression is the feeling or state of emotional, mental, or physical suppression due strictly to the lack of monetary possessions. AKA, your mood will sag from a lack of a bag. Broke-pression, I made it up, and oftentimes the symptoms of depression can look really close to the symptoms of broke-pression. Being broke is miserable sometimes, you know? If you're feeling sad and not too sure why, everything else may be seemingly fine, you could be just broke. And not to take actual depression lightly. If you meet the classifications of clinical or general depression, do what you gotta do. Please talk to somebody. Do not ignore red flags. Do not ignore red flags. One of the surest ways to ensure that you can see red flags is, number one, cultivate your intuition. Tap into that gut. Not your brain, not your heart, although those are important too, but sometimes they conflict one another. But this here, your gut will never lead you astray. It's always there to tell you something. Once I begin to trust this, baby. Because here's the thing, I've always been really in tune with my intuition. I just chose when to listen to it. Even when I knew or I had a feeling or I saw red flags, I rolled the dice because we get one life to live. I believe that a lot of the situations that we find ourselves into, at some point or another, we can dial it back to the choices that we made by ignoring these red flags. Once you really cultivate and tap into that intuition, rely on it heavily. Listen to it. And here's the thing, you're gonna see some red flags and you're gonna keep going. It's just human nature, I feel like. But try to keep that on the minimum. Because some red flags you can't bounce back from. Some you can, some may take you a little longer to get over, but just don't ignore the red flags. And I mean with anything. Friendship, romantic relationship, jobs, career paths. We like to try not to retake tests. So if you got tested once, right, and you saw red flags and you see it again and you go back and you're in a very magnetic stage in your life right now, which means that you're constantly pulling and opposing things to you. Don't chase possessions. Try to attract experiences. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, I was never really big on possessions. I was never that guy that needed the new PlayStation, Jordans. I never owned a pair of Jordans. I'm a traveler. I love to travel. I got the traveling bug, I would say, in elementary school when I took my first plane trip to Alabama for a field trip. I knew that when I got older, I wanted to see the world. You know, I've seen a good portion of it, but there's a lot more that I have not seen. And for me, that is one thing that I feel like really propelled me through my 20s, and it really propelled my growth. If I'm not really big on collecting possessions, I'm more so about experiences. I'd much rather spend $100 on a nice restaurant meal than a new shirt or some jeans. I'd much rather spend $200 on a plane ticket than a night out, or I don't know, what y'all spend $200 for, cause child. Deep down inside, we want to be experienced, and life is to be experienced. And I feel like the world that we live in kind of clouds us with the idea that we need possession. You know, everything is about selling us something. We need to buy something. They would sell us our own feet if they could. I really would encourage you to really seek out more experiences that really touches your soul. If you want to go skydiving, go skydiving. If you want to learn a new hobby, go do that. But I would say try to get out of the mundane, routine, worldly as frequently as you can, and with people that you love to be around and that loves to be around you. Actually, I did have a pair of Jordans once, but I didn't know that that's what I was wearing. They were my brother's, I think. They just matched my shirt. If I find the picture, I'll post it. I don't care about high-end fashion. I shop at Target. Shout out to Goodfellow. Matter of fact, I think this shirt is from Target. I'm pretty sure it is. Like me using my early 20s to travel when I could afford it and things of that nature was my saving grace. Oh yeah. Go out and see the world if you can. One crucial aspect of this period in your life, it may sound a little preachy. I don't want to come off preachy, but I'm gonna give it to you real. Learn now to find a balance between pleasure and discipline. I'm an indulger. I'm a tourist, you know. I love all things that stimulate my senses. Sight, smell, touch, whatever the case may be, I'm an indulger. And sometimes those things don't align with what I need to do. In my early 20s, it was a rocky road for me trying to find the balance between the pleasure and the discipline. That kind of produced other habits that kind of fed into procrastination and different things of that nature. Life is about balance because you don't want to be overly disciplined to where you're a robot, and you don't want to be too leisure to where you don't care and there's no drive or push in your life. How to hold yourself accountable is looking at what you're doing and realizing what's the benefit of this. Is there a purpose behind it? Is this pleasure just pleasure, which is totally fine, but now after we've done pleasured enough, well, that sounds bad. After we had our endorphins filled, what's next? So finding the balance between pleasure and discipline it'll make those rotations around the sun way more easy. So this last one, I want to talk about, not to bring down the mood, but this is something that once it hit for me, it was a game changer. Get as comfortable as you can with your mortality. Okay. It's something that I realized that a lot of us, we don't know how to deal with death. I feel like we live our life constantly afraid of it. So my father passed away in 2017, my biological father. Him and my mother weren't together. They divorced when I was 2. So our relationship over the years, it wasn't a tight one, but we had a relationship. There's something about losing a parent at a younger age than traditional, or where you would think that you would lose a parent, that really kind of puts you in this vortex of you're next. I don't know, it's weird. Even though that next may be 40 years down the line, it may be 50 years down the line, you're faced with it that you're going to die, you know? And once my dad passing away, and I was faced with my own mortality in being that one day I'm not gonna be here, and that life is truly what you make it, and that it's truly precious, and that it's a gift. If you can look at it that way, you're guaranteed to be born and you're guaranteed to die. The rest of life is this flow of creative collaborations, okay, between you and God, or the universe, or whoever you call it to be, or if you do. Don't take it so seriously. Take it seriously, but I would say really tap into the things that matter to you and the things that hold the highest value, right? And when you do that, life will guide you where you need to be. Whatever you make important, whatever you put as the master of your life, that will be where life takes you. If you're putting toxic marriages, toxic jobs, whatever the case may be, whatever you're putting as the head of your focus, that's where life is going to flow for you. Be cognizant of that and understand that one day you're not going to be here, and you have the choice to be happy or you have the choice to be miserable. And I don't want to sound insensitive, I don't want to sound unrealistic, but at the base of it, those are two of the biggest foundations of where life can lead you. Going with the flow of life is much more appeasing than not going with the flow of life. Sometimes I think not sticking to the plan can actually save you from the life of sticking to the plan. It's okay to know absolutely nothing. Yeah, it's okay. I don't know, something for me about after I turned 30 that I realized that life just kind of decrystallized for me, but also the colors and the hues got a little more vibrant. For me, turning 30 was when I really felt like I'd hit adulthood. Boom, adulthood is here. I didn't know much then what the future holds, and the difference is that before I wasn't at peace with it. Now it's in my pocket. That unknown of what the future holds and just letting life be life, just walking into the things that I hold near and dear to myself, that pretty much kind of links to its own happiness. It's something that I really kind of started to walk into and just kind of really trust in the process. Back when I was 24 versus now that I'm 34, I didn't know much when I was 24, and I can say that I don't know much at 34. Now, life lessons, yeah, baby has learned some things. By the grace of the goodness of God, I've grown, you know what I'm saying? My thought process has always kind of been obscure than others. I saw that early on, but I didn't fully embrace it. And now I think it's a privilege to be able to think differently, to be able to shake the table or disrupt thoughts, because I think it's important that we continue to do that. And if we find ourselves back where we were, keep shaking the table. You know what I mean? I think I like going through life not knowing what the future holds. And I think it's where the deepest root of my joy and happiness can lie. When I can wake up and put my intentions forth and do the things that I intend to do, right? So I have action. And I'm pursuing the things that at the root, in the words of my grandmother, in the root provides me with happiness. 100%. And it gives me a place to put that joy that I already have always carried with me. I just can choose to put it out and let that operate in the fullness of itself. And that's just going with the flow. It's not deemed as like a popular thing, but if you break it down to what it is, it's a beautiful thing, in my opinion. So thank you guys for joining me today for this video. You know, I hope you're feeling a lot less lost. If you are, just know that this is no one really knows what to do. It's literally just a day by day getting up and making choices for that day that may lead to the next day, to the next week. And so I think, you know, if you're feeling lost, feeling left behind a little bit, just slow down and really look at your choices that you make. And if the choices that you've, you know, made up until this point has gotten you where you are, just try to make different choices. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be all right. The gag is that everything works out in the end. It just does. I may do another one of these videos because I had like a list of like 40 things I wanted to talk about. You know, I could talk, you know, if you let me go, I'll. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Shout out to my Tauruses out there. Happy birthday to any other Tauruses or any other April babies or May babies. Like, comment, subscribe, share your, you know, some of your stories from your early years, from your 20s, from your early 30s. Where are you in life? Let me know about a time in life where you were kind of shook and kind of unsure and just walking through the fog, as we all do. And let's talk about it. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you guys came and stopped by. And until next time, be blessed, mind your business, and wash your hands. All right?